evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shyam Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with them over the next half hour, including a big story about former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh hitting back at the corruption allegations that have been leveled against him. We'll be talking about that to a special guest as well, but first the headlines we're tracking right now. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh comes out in defense after former TRI chief's allegations, says he never used office to benefit himself, slams the NDA government for just renaming UPA schemes and taking credit for them. Rahul Gandhi continues his criticism of the NDA government, blames it of working against the interests of farmers. The Prime Minister retorts, says Congress is yet to digest its massive defeat last year. The government claims to have achieved the lowest ever power deficit in India's history. Power Minister assures 24/7 power supply within 4 years. Intense heat wave coupled with frequent power outages continue across the country. Over 1,100 deaths reported. No respite for a few more days, says the Weather Office. And 6 FIFA officials, including vice presidents, held on corruption charges just days before the World Football governing body elects a new president. Well, top story this evening. The government has claimed that it has achieved its lowest ever power deficit in India's history. Power Minister Piyush Goyal has vouched that India's power deficit has fallen to a record low of 3.6%. Celebrating his government's first anniversary, Goyal reiterated that India will have 24/7 power supply throughout its length and breadth by 2019.
In what could bring a much-needed breather from the power outages and the oppressive heat, the Power Ministry says that there has been the highest ever capacity addition of 22,566 megawatts since the Modi government took over. Power Minister Piyush Goyal even said that most parts of the country have surplus power, but states were not buying it to give their residents uninterrupted power supply.
The highest ever generation capacity increase in the history of independent India was achieved last year. 22,566 megawatt of generation capacity was added last year.
Goyal, who also heads the coal ministry, said the government will open more than 60 coal mines to increase Coal India's production. The government aims to increase production from the current 60 million tons to over 100 million tons in the next 5 years.
आज परिस्थिति ऐसी है कि देश में कोयला भी पर्याप्त है, बिजली भी पर्याप्त है और आगे आने वाले दिनों में नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा से हम पूरे विश्व को एक नया एग्जाम्पल सेट करने वाले हैं.
Stressing on the need for solar power, Goyal said that many companies in the private sector have committed to produce 273 gigawatt of solar power. Even railways will soon be using solar power. Plans are also afoot to set up 40,000 megawatts rooftop solar energy power plants. Kriti Mishra, Rajya TV.
The former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh came out in defense over his role in the 2G scam, a day after the former TRI chief's allegations that he didn't prevent the scam from happening. He said that the former Prime Minister said that he never worked to benefit himself. He also hit out at the government, saying that it is renaming UPA schemes and taking credit for them.
As far as I am myself concerned, I can say in all humility that I have not used my public office to enrich myself, to enrich my family, or to enrich my friends. And still the BJP government keeps on harping on the theme of corruption just because it wants to detract the attention of the people to non-issues.
Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh defending allegations made against him by former TRI chairman Pradeep Baijal. On Tuesday, Baijal had alleged that the former Prime Minister had warned him of harm if he did not cooperate on 2G telecom licenses. The Congress backed Manmohan, saying Baijal was being used by the Modi government to defame the party.
I have been a minister with him both in UPA 1 and UPA 2. He never told us to do anything wrong. He's not made of that metal that, as a matter of fact, I can say is a most honest person. This particular officer is being used by NDA government just to defame the Congress party, to defame the Congress leadership and defame the former Prime Minister of India.
Manmohan Singh also launched a scathing attack on the NDA government. Taking a dig a day after the Modi government completed a year in office, he accused it of renaming UPA's policies and schemes and claiming credit for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, institutions of democracy are under threat. The entire edifice of the welfare state is now being dismantled. The guise of promoting faster economic growth, whereas they are two sides of the same coin. Many of our programs are now being repackaged and marketed as initiatives of the Modi government. What the BJP had opposed when we were in power are now being sold as its contribution.
However, BJP was quick to hit back, raising questions over Manmohan Singh's silence in the 2G scam and coal scam for so long.
उनके समय में जो महंगाई दर था वो 8 से ऊपर था और विकास दर 5 से नीचे चलाया था। आज ठीक स्थिति उल्टी हो गई है और देश दुनिया के जितने आर्थिक जानकार हैं सब लोग इस बात को स्वीकार कर रहे हैं। मनमोहन सिंह यदि बोलते होंगे तो मजबूरी में उन पर दबाव होता होगा, सोनिया जी का, राहुल जी का, तो मजबूरी में इस प्रकार की बात उनको बोलना पड़ता होगा।
The former tri-chief's accusations come after similar claims by Manmohan Singh's former AD and media advisor Sanjay Baru and former Coal Secretary PC Parekh. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Vinod Sharma, political editor at the Hindustan Times, now joins us to help us understand, Vinod, as far as this is allegation and counter-allegation, but what's the truth behind all these allegations?
Well, I mean, I don't have the empirical data to say that whether he's right or wrong, but the fact remains that Mr. Baijal has spoken far too late. If he was that upright, he should have stood up and be counted at the very time when the then Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, allegedly delivered him a warning that if he did not do as told to do as TRAI chief, he may be in trouble. That's what he claims, you know. And he also claims that the CBI wanted him to implicate Mr. Shauri and Mr. Ratan Tata. You see. Now, these are all matters of investigation. The fact remains that 2G was a scandal and there was a problem there. Dr. Manmohan Singh has spoken for the first time since the 2014 election, and this is one detailed statement which is almost a suo motu statement. It's not a question that he's answering by journalists, that he's addressing an NSUI gathering. So I think that his defense that he is personally clean and that nobody from his immediate family, including himself, have benefited from any of the scams, is valid in the sense that nobody says that Dr. Singh is personally corrupt.
Right.
The charge against him is of omission, not of commission. And that is where I think he needs to explain in greater detail. In fact, he has been named in the coal scam, and there was a case now which is pending before the Supreme Court, where privately even the BJP ministers are admitting that in that case the lower court exceeded the boundaries of law.
Right.
And now there is also a move by the NDA government to change the existing law so that such cases cannot be brought against public servants. But that's a different issue. What I am saying is that this statement of Dr. Singh on the first anniversary of the NDA is essentially both political, a political riposte and a self-defense, because it has been a running theme with the NDA to call his government corrupt.
Yeah, Yes, in fact, I would just like to bring in that point that it was both, it was his own defense, and we've spoken about that, but it was also a political statement as well. And that political statement, I mean, it's Manmohan Singh being pushed to a corner to make that statement now, even after a year of political campaigning for the elections being over, the UPA being still criticized more than the NDA talked about.
The fact is that he has remained silent so far. Now that he stepped out out into the spotlight, he has chosen this time because this is the first anniversary of the NDA, and many people, including myself personally, felt that criticizing a government which hasn't even completed 1 year is not valid. That criticism is not valid. Even today, I feel that 1 year is too short a life in governance, though it is too long a period in politics. See. So what you are saying is politics being played out to contest the government's claim of a lot of work being done. So that's it, and that's the nature of the game. That's how politics is played in our country and in most other countries.
All right, but the Dr. Singh himself had said that history will judge him a little more kindly. But given the fact that it is, I mean, in terms of a defense, it comes to an extreme point only, then he often responds. Is that proving to be a problem for him?
You see, Dr. Singh is a very learned man. I mean, he was the best educated head of government during his 10 years in power across the world, I mean, amongst all world leaders. And he had a lot of respect shown to him by his peers in other countries. But oratory has been a problem with him. He is a learned man whose knowledge, I mean, whose oratory does not match his knowledge. This happens to many learned people, and that is where I think that many a times when he is under attack, his defense comes across as weak or unconvincing. But yes, of course, there have been on occasion where he's defended himself very robustly in Parliament. Today, his comments that many of the schemes which the NDA was implementing were the UPA schemes, well, it is true. And government, in any case, is a continuum. The fact is that many schemes which were started by the Congress governments were adopted even by the Vajpayee government, and the Congress, returned the compliment when they took over from Vajpayee.
Right.
So I think this shouldn't be a partisan debate that, schemes have been stolen or they have been plagiarized. But the fact remains that many of the schemes which were there during UPA's time were good schemes. UPA could not sell those schemes effectively and could not show that they were implemented properly, where the BJP in relative terms seems to be doing better. But many people also believe that it seems to be overdoing because there is a huge gap between the claims and what has been delivered on the ground.
Right, so with the BJP, it's managing expectations, and the Congress, it's hitting back, and also a lot of self-defense coming in after a year of the Modi government. But thank you very much, Vinod Sharma, for coming in and helping us understand this a little better. Well, moving on, a day after hitting out at the Modi government for being a soot boot ki sarkar, Rahul Gandhi today continued with the same theme on the second day of his Kerala trip. In his meetings with fishermen and rubber planters, the Congress Vice President had a word of caution for the NDA government to be very careful who they pick a fight with.
First, a meeting with fishermen in Thrissur and then straight to Aluva for a meeting with rubber planters. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi was at his charming, friendliest best on the second day of his Kerala tour, clicking selfies with the youth and hugging the old. At his meeting with the fishermen, he vowed to fight for their rights. In an apparent reference to the centre's decision to extend the trawler fishing ban to 61 days from 45 days, Rahul said his party would stand with the fishermen in their fight.
The Narendra Modi government does not understand who they are confronting. They think farmers are weak, fishermen are weak, tribals are weak, small business owners are weak, and they can be pushed aside. And I am telling them from this stage that they should be very, very careful who they pick a fight with.
On his second stop in Aluva, Rahul Gandhi met with rubber planters and heard out their problems. He also used the visit as an opportunity to hit out at the Modi government, accusing it of being anti-poor.
Anybody who's weak, who is struggling, is not happy with this government. And as I've said many times, the 5 or 6 powerful friends of the government are happy. They are excited about what this government is doing. The rest of India is wondering what is happening.
As the NDA government celebrates 1 year in office, the opposition parties, especially the Congress, have intensified their attack on the government. The Congress Vice President's Kerala visit also played out on the same theme. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi renewed his attack on the Congress-led UPA government, saying the extra-constitutional authorities were wielding power during the previous regime. In an interview to PTI, he also rejected criticism of concentration of power in the Prime Minister's office. Modi countered the Congress's charges of his government being pro-industrialist. He said the Congress has not been able to digest its crushing defeat in the Lok Sabha polls. He also expressed confidence on the passage of both the GST and the land bill. Meanwhile, the Congress MPs have rejected the Prime Minister's charges.
Second, we completely reject Prime Minister's charge that extra-constitutional authorities were running the government. The UPA government had Dr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister, and it was he and the cabinet, of which I was a member, we took all the decisions. Cabinet was never told what decisions to make.
Well, time for us to take a quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, agitating Gujars in talks with Rajasthan government of their job quota demands as court orders clearing of blockades. More on that on the other side.
Even amid the positives of 1 year of NDA rule, agriculture has disappointed. How has this sector performed, and what's the route map ahead? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the death toll due to the intense heat wave has crossed 1,100 in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The Met Department has predicted rain and thunder showers in the coming 2 days, as the first monsoon shower is expected to hit the Kerala coast by the end of this month, which could bring some respite.
As mercury hovers steadily over 40 degrees at several places, over 1,000 people have died due to intense heat sweeping across the country. The worst hit is Andhra Pradesh, where close to 900 people have died in the last 10 days. The toll is nearing 300 in the neighbouring state Telangana. Most of the deaths in these areas have been caused by extreme dehydration and heat strokes. The State Department has advised people to stay indoors.
At few places, high temperatures are expected about 47 degrees. That is, severe heat wave conditions will be there in few places in coastal Andhra Pradesh for next 2 days. And in Telangana, for today and tomorrow, heat wave conditions are expected to be there around 45 degrees. As the dominance of westerly component increases, we will find more respite.
Rising temperatures in northern states have also claimed lives. At least 7 deaths were reported from Gujarat. In Ahmedabad, the temperature is expected to shoot up to 45 degrees in the next 7 days. In New Delhi, the intense heat wave conditions have put a massive burden on power infrastructure. Power cuts have also been reported across the country.
There are other long-term fundamental problems with the electricity and the water of Delhi that cannot be solved in 3 months' time. It will take time.
A continuous lack of thunderstorm activity for the last 10 days is also contributing to the increase in temperature over northwest and central India. Also, there is a heat transported from the western side.
The Met Department predicts that the heat wave is expected to continue for another 2 days before any respite. However, another hot spell is soon likely to follow. Once the first spell of monsoon hits Kerala coast on 30th of May, rainfall is expected in northern parts a week after. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And talks resumed today between the Rajasthan government and the agitating Gujars who have been blocking rail and road in the 3 districts of the state for a week now. The first round of talks remained inconclusive over the Gujars' demands to grant them 5% quota in government jobs. Meanwhile, the Rajasthan High Court summoned the Chief Secretary and the police chief to act immediately and restore rail and road traffic.
Discussions resumed between the agitating Gujars and the Rajasthan government on Wednesday. A 13-member Gujar delegation met with the 3-minister panel at the Secretariat. The Ministers' Committee comprises Health Minister Rajendra Rathore, Social Justice Minister Arun Chaturvedi and Food Minister Hem Singh Badana.
हमारा 50% के अंदर की मांग है, उस मांग पे सरकार का कोई फॉर्मूला नहीं है.
Meanwhile, as protesters continue to disrupt rail and road traffic for the 7th consecutive day, the Rajasthan High Court stepped in. The court pulled up the state government for giving a free hand to the agitators. Directing the Chief Secretary and the police chief to appear before it, the court also asked them to restore traffic immediately.
हम सबसे पहले तो आंदोलनकारी और उनके जितने भी नेता हैं उनसे कांटेक्ट करके उनको समझाइश करने का प्रयत्न करेंगे कि इस अवमानना नोटिस की पालना हाई कोर्ट की सरकार के लिए लाजमी होती है.
The Delhi-Mumbai rail track in Bharatpur, Agra-Jaipur National Highway in Dausa and a state highway in Savai Madhopur remains blocked, causing distress to commuters. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
For all the other national stories, let's take you nationwide. German Defense Minister Ursula von der Leyen is on a 3-day visit to India. On Wednesday, she visited the Gandhi Smriti in Delhi. She was accompanied by the German ambassador to India, Michael Steiner. During her visit, she would also meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi and hold bilateral talks with her counterpart Manohar Parrikar in a bid to improve defense ties. The Delhi High Court on Wednesday allowed Greenpeace India to use 2 of its domestic accounts to receive fresh domestic donations for its day-to-day functioning. The court also allowed Greenpeace to liquidate its fixed deposits, details of which it had furnished. The court pulled up banks for not following its earlier direction to allow Greenpeace to access its accounts. Priyanka Gandhi visited her mother Sonia Gandhi's constituency, Raebareli, today. She interacted with the villagers and reviewed development work in the constituency. She also hit out at HRD Minister Smriti Irani, who was in the constituency a day before. Sonia Gandhi is also scheduled to visit Raebareli on the 28th of May. Some international news now, and fresh fighting has been reported in the Gaza Strip. Israeli Air Force conducted 4 airstrikes at 4 terror infrastructure facilities just hours after a cross-border rocket attack was reported. A rocket fired from the Palestine side struck Israel on Tuesday. However, no casualties have been reported on either sides. Meanwhile, a report released by Amnesty International suggests that the Islamist group Hamas has committed serious human rights abuses, including abductions, torture and extrajudicial killings of Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip in 2014.
Around 9 o'clock, there was a sound of an explosion. No sirens were heard, but we understand that apparently a rocket, a missile, was launched from the Gaza Strip towards our area.
And keeping up pressure on North Korea to rein in its nuclear program, the United States and its 2 Asian allies, South Korea and Japan, held trilateral talks in Seoul. They discussed ways to urge China to help bring North Korea back to the negotiating table. They expressed concern over the recent test fire of a submarine-launched ballistic missile by North Korea. South Korea warned the North that its isolation will deepen if it keeps its current position up. North Korea has been heavily sanctioned with UN and US sanctions because of its nuclear and missile tests, a move that Pyongyang seeks as an attack on its sovereign right to defend itself.
We agreed on the importance of enhancing pressure and sanctions on North Korea, even as we keep all diplomatic options on the table and open.
Our 3 countries, Korea, US and Japan, will cooperate very closely in consultation with China and Russia to respond effectively to the North Korean threats and to make progress in the denuclearization of North Korea.
Here's some more international news now in Global Buzz. 4 gunmen who tried to storm a guest house in the diplomatic area of Kabul, Afghanistan, have been killed. The attack in Wazir Akbar Khan district of Kabul resulted in an overnight gun battle that lasted at least 6 hours. Taliban took responsibility of the attack. No civilian or military casualties were reported, however. Torrential rains have claimed at least 9 lives in Texas and Oklahoma in the United States, including 2 in Houston, where floods turned streets into rivers. Around 500 people have been rescued so far, most of them stranded motorists. The death toll is set to rise, with several missing in Texas. The interim president of the Central African Republic, Catherine Samba Panza, met with French President Francois Hollande in Paris on Wednesday. The 2 leaders discussed the ongoing efforts to arrive at a settlement to the civil conflict. This has killed thousands of people in the last 2 years. And Swiss authorities today arrested 6 FIFA officials, including both the current vice presidents, on charges of corruption. Now, the arrests come as a fresh blow to FIFA, which has suffered repeated accusations of wrongdoings over the World Cup bidding process.
Just 2 days ahead of the crucial elections for the FIFA presidency, the sport has been hit by yet another scandal. 6 FIFA officials were taken into custody during a raid at a hotel in Zurich on Wednesday. The officials, including Vice President Jeffrey Webb, have been accused of receiving or paying bribes in millions of dollars. US federal charges include racketeering, money laundering and wire fraud and span 2 decades of misconduct in soccer's world governing body. They have been detained pending extradition to the United States.
Der FIFA-Präsident und auch der Generalsekretär sind nicht Beschuldigte. Sie sind nicht involviert in diesem Verfahren. Am Schluss einmal mehr, die FIFA ist die darunter leidet, ist es selbstverständlich ein schwieriger Moment.
Swiss authorities have also begun criminal proceedings into the awarding of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups. FIFA has suffered repeated accusations of wrongdoing over the bidding process for these World Cups, which were awarded to Qatar and Russia respectively. They are due to question 10 executive committee members who took part in voting in December 2010. FIFA said they are cooperating in the probe.
Die FIFA begrüßt diesen Prozess und kooperiert voll mit der Bundesanwaltschaft und dann entsprechend auch mit dem Bundesamt für Justiz.
However, FIFA said there is no change in plans to select a new chief. FIFA President Sepp Blatter, seeking a 5th term, will go head-to-head against Prince Ali bin Al Hussein of Jordan on Friday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And with all the sports action, this is Sports Beat now. Defending champion Maria Sharapova reached the 3rd round of the French Open after a straight-set victory over fellow Russian Vitalia Diachenko. The world number 2 took 80 minutes to win the match 6-3, 6-1. In the men's singles, Stanislas Wawrinka was also advanced to the 3rd round after defeating Serbian Dusan Lajovic in 4 sets. European Cup holders Sevilla will defend their title against Ukraine's Dnipro as the 2 teams will clash in the Europa League final in Warsaw tonight. Sevilla are favourites to lift the trophy for the record 4th time after scoring 26 goals en route to the final, the highest of the tournament. The Dnipros managed to score only 13 goals but have upset stronger opponents during the course of the tournament. 6-time Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt claimed a comfortable victory in the men's 200 meters at the Golden Spike meet in Ostrava. The Jamaican clocked 20.13 seconds to beat American Isaiah Young for victory in his first European race of the season. With this victory, Bolt made it 7 wins out of 7 at the event. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.